this interesting place. It still kept all of its kind of Soviet-era symbols, statues of Lenin. You still have Karl Marx Street and all those, and so it feels a bit like a Soviet nostalgia theme park sometimes when you walk around. Transnistria is the lands basically on the left or the eastern side of the Dniester River, which goes down through Moldova and Ukraine to the Black Sea. The Second World War is absolutely key here because the Soviet Union took over this area, Bessarabia, which had been part of Romania previously, and made it into the Soviet Republic of Moldova. And they also attached this small area of territory called Transnistria on the other side of the river. So you had a new republic founded basically at the end of the Second World War called Moldova, and it had two parts. It had this more Romanian-speaking part in right bank Moldova, which had not been part of the Soviet Union previously, and it had this other part on the eastern bank, which was Transnistria, and this was much more pro-Russian, pro-Soviet, industrial. There were factories there. A lot of immigrants from the rest of the Soviet Union came to work in the factories there. So you had this republic with these two elites looking in different directions. And as the Soviet Union started to come to an end, the Moldovans wanted independence, a bit like the Baltic states. They wanted to rediscover their old identity and independence. And the Transnistrians were very loyal to the Soviet Union. So you had a big clash there. And in 1990, even before the Soviet Union had ended, the Transnistrians basically said, we're quitting Moldova, we're getting out of here. And they proclaimed a republic, and the flag actually has the Soviet symbols. It still has the hammer and sickle on it from the Soviet era when they proclaimed that they were basically leaving Moldova. There was a brief war in 1992. The Russian army backed the Transnistrians. Transnistria basically was kind of broken away but not recognized by anyone, including Russia, and has governed itself ever since then. Transnistrian ex-official said to me, "My head is in Russia, but my legs are moving to Europe." They look towards Russia, and they're kind of culturally part of Russia. They still have some Russian troops there, not very many actually. But the other half of this is that economically they are basically trading mainly with Moldova and with the European Union. The factories which are working there, and some of them are quite successful. You have, I went to visit a shoe factory, which is, the director told me that he's trading with 80 countries. His shoes are selling there, and they're basically selling abroad as Moldovan companies. They basically run themselves domestically. They print their own currency, the Transnistrian ruble, and I actually have 3 coins here from Transnistria. This one is this one's a 3 ruble, and these are the circular ones are 1 ruble coins. So they're actually plastic coins, and they're quite proud of them because they're different shapes. It means that it's the only currency in the world that blind people can tell by touch which coins are which. There are people there who really do want to cooperate with the EU, and I think it's time to kind of deepen the relationship and have more of an EU presence on the ground. And I don't see why Moldovans should worry about that the idea that Transnistria becomes more European, I think, should be a positive for them rather than a negative. Transnistrians say they want to be independent, but their prospects of recognition are almost zero. Even Russia does not recognize them. So they have to be pragmatic. They want to keep their identity, but they understand that they're basically what they're really going to get, if they get anything, is a kind of special status within Moldova. They're reaching agreements on lots of practical issues like number plates, about diplomas, about company registration, about the postal system, so that they're building kind of elements of a de facto common state, even if they can't agree on the big issues. It's possible as a Transnistrian now to take a Moldovan passport, to study in Chisinau and so on. So I think this is a good example for other disputes, that you can't solve the big issues, so you work on some of the practical day-to-day issues which improve the lives of ordinary people. And that's good for the ordinary people. It also kind of lowers the temperature of the conflict. You don't really feel that this is a really dangerous conflict anymore.